Tommy, Keith,
Yes, sir.
Ryan, everybody? Okay.
Rail is here to speak on item 2.
I was just gonna suspend the rules of regular order of business so we can go right into 2.
I'd make them wait.
What's that?
I'd make them wait.
No, only because I've got a lot of proposals on the 1 and I don't want to have to keep everybody here.
At least we let them know that we're starting. That's all.
So I'll make that form of motion. That's my one.
So don't make her wait.
All right,
Yeah, let's start the meeting first.
Yeah, okay.
all right. Welcome, everybody. Those in present and those in Zoom. Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, City of Lowell Board of Parks. Hopefully in the right place and the right location. Let's see, we've got a short agenda, so hopefully we can be in and out of here quickly, and hopefully everybody behaves with respect. Yes.
I make a motion to take number 2 out of order in our agenda because there are people here to speak that I would like to, and I have a lot to review on the number 1 review that right there for boring them on the number 1 handbook policy adjustment. I'd like to go right to review of tournament rules and regulations. I'll make that a form of motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move to number 2, review tournament rules and regulations. Currently, there's been a few different things of what constitutes a tournament, what are the regulations, and how they apply to everybody. Okay, and what the fee might be, and those that aren't aware are in the process of doing the handbook to clarify a lot of these issues that hopefully we'll be able to take here. We just reply to page 10 and see what's going on. We want to make sure that everything is transparent and that sometimes we have problems dealing with things. And I think that might be part of one of the issues that we're here tonight is the right hand didn't quite know what the left hand was doing. I don't see any malfeasance or anything in there, but it's just there are rules and regulations to follow that have to apply across the board. Doesn't make a difference who it is, whether it's a board members group or somebody else. We're just trying to be fair to everybody. Okay. I do know this has created a little bit of stir amongst things. I also want to let the people know that I got a phone call this afternoon from somebody that threatened me about this issue. So I don't know where that came from, but when I do find out, it's against the law to threaten a public official. So, all right. I didn't like that very much at all. It will be, that person will be found out. All right. So, like I said, we try to be as transparent as we can and move forward. So we follow this meeting with respect. Okay, as far as the tournament rules and everything, Mr. Rudy, you've done a lot of work on it. You want to take it from here, please?
Do we want to take up the agenda on?
Yeah, number 2, tournament rules and regs.
Okay. On the tournament rules and regs, basically there are none. That's one of the policies that we've been working on as a board. We don't have no tournaments. The only thing that the policy and the procedure states right now is these will be determined by the board of parks on a case-to-case basis. It doesn't state anything in our bylaws about tournament fees or rules and regulations. Furthermore, it doesn't state anything in our handbook about subletting. Although we have had several conversations with the city council or the Parks and Recreation Committee, and as far as our board, we have discussed it, but there is no rules. So I can't say someone's violating a policy and procedure if there is no policy and procedure in place. So I think in good faith, we've all agreed on this board that subletting is not going to be acceptable by the board nor the city. But until our proposals, which I will submit tonight, are part of the policy procedures of our handbook, I think we can discuss the matter, but I think as far as determining whether or not we can go forward and or take any action because what someone feels might have been subletting, I think is premature, in my opinion. I think I want to give, I know we spoke last meeting about something that one of the board members had got a flyer about what he felt in his opinion was subletting. And we all agreed at that meeting unanimously that until we had the other board member here to answer any of the concerns that we might have had about that flyer, then we wouldn't make any determination on at that time. And so that is the purpose of this special meeting. But again, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it's hard to say someone violated a policy procedure when there is no such policy procedure written in our rules and regulations.
Okay. Just reiterate on the one thing. We look back, I got a copy of a permit that was issued in August 26, 2015, at which point in time, the permit is valid only for the group named above and during the dates, times, and locations indicated. Permits are non-transferable. Now, that was there back then, and if everybody is aware of it, and I knew that was in existence. Unfortunately, when MIS transferred everything over to the digital age, that got left out. Okay, otherwise, that would have been in there. So then when we're looking at it, I knew that you couldn't transfer things just because it didn't get written down on where it is. It's in our bylaws somewhere, and, you know. So I don't know how we proceed with that. So now we want to do is establish new guidelines on that. Okay. And Mr. Faticani, I'm correct in that what the old permit says.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. I think most of you, a few of you have seen that stuff before if you look back on old permits. I think most of you have been around during that period of time. Yeah. I'm not the only old guy in the room. Okay. So, like I said, the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. And when we're looking on things and trying to get stuff done, and we need to have lines of communication are always difficult. Clear lines make everything work fine. When all of a sudden they kind of get a little bit fuzzy, people always seem to assume the worst that's going on, trying to do this or trying to do that. And I know that the people in this room, you've dedicated hours and weeks and years of service to all the youth groups, as most of the board members have too. So we don't want to, I mean, it's great. You should be recommended for all that work. It's not always easy. Been there myself for many, many years. So we're going to have to reestablish this policy. We can put it in our handbook, I believe, and please feel free to speak up on this so we can have clear lines of demarcation on what is and what isn't. Okay. Like I said, it was there in the end. Just because it got eliminated when they transferred it over, it doesn't mean it still didn't exist.
Okay. Mr. Jim?
Yes.
If I may. When we look at our current proposed new policy procedures that is currently waiting in the law office, I would like to draw attention to page 5 of our current booklet. I don't know if everybody has it. If they want, I can read.
Yeah, please read.
I have another copy too.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is amend the rules and regulations. Currently, it's number 10 of our rules and regulations. I would like to replace number 10, and number 10 will now become 11. And my proposal for number 10 would be replace current 10 with a new 10 as follows. Reallocations or subletting of fields by a permit holder is strictly prohibited. If permitted fields are not unused, then the unused times and dates must be turned back into the recreation department for allocations to other users. And that'd be replacing the current number 10 and number 10, which is, if necessary, these rules and regulations, if necessary, these regulations shall be enforced by the City of Lowell Police Department, who shall cause the immediate termination of any activity that violates these rules. That means if someone doesn't have a, they're subletting it, and we feel that that's happening, we can call the police upon, technically, the board of Health, and have them go over there and stop the activity. I don't want to take that action, but that action is already in the policy procedure book. So what I'm looking for is just to amend the policy procedure to put that subletting or reallocating your permit to somebody else is illegal and based on the Board of Parks rules and regulations. So I'll make that in form of a motion to place that into our bylaws.
Is that for just tournaments or for both tournaments?
That's for
That's for anything, permit.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure it was
If
both.
anybody has a permit for a certain activity that's taken place, then that activity will be taken place by the person who has a permit.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Second. Okay, further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. We can put that in our rules book going forward, so it'll be clear to everybody. You know, the one thing when it came up to us is they had read that we cancel whatever tournament or whatever activity was on the field. And what happens is the kids suffer because the parents didn't do due diligence. So a lot of people get very upset, and I can see what they would be. It's not fair to the kids out there playing. So especially now that we're gonna have things clear, so people can always call. If you have any questions, please look at it. All right. Like I said, communication, one of the biggest problems we've had, a lot of times we have people say, well, I can't make it. You got a huge organization. Somebody has to show up. Okay, so we can ask questions. You know, if some of this stuff would have been mute, I mean, Mr. Work wasn't able to be there.
May I speak for a minute?
Yeah, just let me finish this thing.
Finish your.
Okay, we get someone to show up, ask questions, we can get resolved, okay? All right. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This event that we're throwing is not subletting, it's not a tournament, it's a fundraiser. We discussed it in August at our board of parks meeting that I was at.
Mhm.
Questions, everyone seemed to be okay with it. It wasn't until it was a meeting I wasn't at, it became an issue. At the end of the day, this is a fundraiser where all proceeds benefit our league. It's an additional fundraiser for Toy for Tots. It's a physical toy donation. You know, the person that's helped running it is doing all the work behind the scenes. There's no profit to them. All proceeds go to us. He wanted to help us throw a fundraiser. So at the end of the day, it's our event. You know, getting people to help outside, whether it's a sponsor, you know, is great. You know, we reach out to sponsors all over the place. You know, the Rules, Price Star, whatnot. So anytime we have a sponsor, our goal is to fundraise as much as we possibly can. We want to keep our fees as low as possible. We want to make sure that everyone in the city has access. We can waive fees as much as possible. If you look around a lot of the other youth organizations, their fees are $200, $300, $400 for rec leagues. We don't want that. So one way to offset that is fundraising as much as we possibly can. So at the end of the day, this is a fundraiser. And you know, if the organization that's helping us wants to get some advertising, you know, publicity out of it, by all means, I'm okay with that. You know, if there was a problem with it in August, probably shouldn't have been the rest in August. And if there's a problem with it, you know, we obviously, it's a public forum, we can talk as much as we possibly can, but it's a little disheartening that, you know, board members that have been sitting next to each other for a better part of 10 years have kind of a personal attack. It's not, you know, becoming of what this city is supposed to be. It's one of the reasons why people don't really want to sit on boards anymore, because this type of activity shouldn't be allowed. You know, some of us, and I know I'm not saying that, but at the same time, like 27 years consecutively, you know, volunteering time for these leagues, and a group of folks here have donated dozens and dozens of years and multiple hours, you know. So sort of an attack on the youth leagues is sort of an attack on all of us. And, you know, I think we as a board are better than that. We should be, you know, watching what happened on the meeting I was there was frankly embarrassing. And, you know, that's not what I think that this city is about.
And watching the meeting, you also realize to shut that down as quickly as possible.
It was a
And we have to move forward.
Fair enough.
We're gonna have disagreements.
Yeah, no, and I'm okay with disagreements. Like we're all adults, we can talk about it. But
Right.
The forum to do that is not, personal attacks on the public.
Totally agree.
At the end of the day,
Should never be that way.
ask clarification questions. Again, this event was approved. We talked about this in August. We were there. So all of us were there. It was, everyone seemed to be on board.
Was I there then or not?
Yes, you were.
I was,
Yes.
okay.
I believe there were two members.
Just you and I and John, just three of us.
Three of us.
Okay, but there was a meeting that Ryan chaired that.
That was me.
That was
before,
July.
July.
That was July.
Sure.
Alright.
I thought it was August, but
So,
at the end of the day, we're just trying to do our best for the city, for the youth of Lowell. That's all we're trying to do.
I totally agree. I have never had a problem with that.
I wouldn't,
Serving the youth of the
I
city.
wouldn't think that anyone, I understand that there are other organizations that utilize fields, it's a for-profit organization. When we had the Boston Cannons, we had the lacrosse team, when they used Colley Stadium,
Mhm.
they paid a higher permit fee, because they charged money for tickets, that
Right.
same exact field was free or custodial fees only for the Pop Warners of the world, and
Mhm.
it's the same fee. So I understand that, some organizations feel they have some ownership over city property to do at their disposal. At the end of the day, it's not, it's city property. If we're approved for permit, it's not subletting, we're not just like, sure, come on in, it's something that's been done before by other organizations and sort of been
That's in
kind
the
of
past, that's
allowed.
not happening in the future.
No, I understand
That's
that.
why we're here tonight.
Right, in the last few years, we sort of stopped it now, which is great. But, I understand that there's, behind that, on the surface, we're just doing the best we can for the city and for the kids involved. And that's it. I really have not much else to say.
No, I appreciate, like I said, you and I have talked, to understand what's trying to go on.
Sure.
Like I said, communication is key. When we don't have enough of it, things fall apart. If we don't have enough documentation, things fall apart. Okay.
Sure.
Like I said, personal differences should never appear at board meetings. Okay? You want to kill each other outside the meeting, so be it. But inside, I won't allow it. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, before I speak, I would like to, Commissioner Connell to speak up.
I wanted to go back to August when he came forward with this permit. He came in, said it was a fun, it was a fun tournament, in-house only. And I questioned him, what do you mean in-house? He says, just the teams that play in the summer. That, just gonna be their group and that's it. Never mentioned the US Pride being aboard. Never mentioned there was a fundraiser for them. It was just gonna be a fun end of the season tournament. That's why that's why I went along with it. I even asked him if he could have umpire for this, and he said yes. I said, okay, I have no problem with it. That's why I voted for it. But when a month later, 2 weeks later, I get this flyer in an email. Now, they're running, not them. And he's shaking his head saying he didn't say that. This is why I asked. Because that meeting was not recorded. So it's his word against my word. One of those, he said, she said. And this is why when I got this, I called up Peter and asked him if he could do this. And he says, you want to bring it up, bring it up. I brought it up. I think it's wrong what they're doing. It's got nothing to do with a fundraiser for them. There's not going to be enough teams, I bet you, to make any money at this at $250 a person. A team, I mean, sorry, a team. You know yourself, you've ran tournaments, I've ran tournaments. You're not going to make any money at $250 if you're paying umpires, because your biggest cost for any tournament is your umpire fees.
I think that might be
correct?
Well, we're not gonna cross-talk and then interject. If he has the floor, that's where it's staying.
But you did tell us it was gonna be an in-house tournament and that's it.
We don't have teams for them.
You weren't gonna go outside. You didn't say that. You didn't tell us. You told us that night that it was gonna stay in-house. That's why I would allow it. If you had said this organization was going to be running it, I would have shut it down. I wouldn't have voted for it.
You wouldn't be here.
Ryan,
Fundraising for us?
Please.
You never mentioned it was gonna be a fundraiser. You said it was just gonna be end of the season tournament. That's what you said. It's your word against mine because it wasn't televised. That's why I asked Peter if this be televised. So they can go back and say, okay, I said this and you said that, and this, you know,
Alright.
I wanted this televised. This is why I brought this back.
Understood.
Okay? That's why.
Mhm.
That's all I got to say.
Alright. Okay, any other board members have?
I have some. First of all,
Before I go to,
no, I
wanted
want
guests.
most of the response from that. I have some other concerns that has to deal with this term with the, what has to do more with, again, that we've been talking about all year since I've been on this board, that the bathrooms in this facilities and electricity is not available. That has to stop. It has to stop. When we give a permit out and there are bathrooms in there, the city of Lowell should have the keys and open up the goddamn doors. I'm sick and tired of someone come to this meeting every time saying, well, we can't use the bathroom there. That field house does not belong to Gil Vision or anybody else. It belongs to the city of Lowell. The keys have to be given. And if I have to put part of my proposal that we have to hire a city employee to be there during the tournament so they can open up the bathrooms and also screen the fields and mark the fields in between, then I'll put that part of my proposal. But I'm not going to have people coming here and people thinking they own that field house. Now, there's only one or two places where it falls with it. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. I've been to many of my granddaughters and stuff games, and I got to go to the bathroom. And I feel pretty embarrassed. I have to go down the street to McDonald's or something to go to the bathroom because the guy won't open the goddamn bathroom. Concession stand is a different issue. We can talk about the concession stands issue.
Totally.
I'm talking about a bathhouse available on the field where they got a permit to play. The field house should be, the bathroom should be part of the permit. And we're giving out a permit. And the bathroom should be open.
I can inform you about history. I can inform you about history going back with alumni field baseball, right, to go across the street.
Right.
McDonald's.
Every field, not just saying, I'm saying every field. We should have keys to them.
All right. All right. Getting back to the
I
issue on the
just wanted to
table.
put that as
The
part
issue
of
on the table. Thank you. Okay. Mr. LaLasha, you wish to speak?
Let me know if I need to rise or be anywhere.
You can sit there and be comfortable.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, the ring.
It's just a-
Well, I think in the interest of what you had brought up, Mr. Chairman, the point of the many members of the Youth Baseball and Softball League being here is to make sure those lines of communications going forward are open. Because it appears in this instance that in numerous meetings, there have been different instances where assumptions were made. And you had made a reference at one point to when communication breaks down, people think the worst. I don't necessarily agree with that. That's a personal decision to think the worst. And for people that work as hard as many of us do, and you do as well, I don't think it has to be a case where people think the worst.
I don't think it's the words.
Sure, and that's so I don't. But it's not my intention to call anything that you said. I'm saying in this instance, there is and continues to be an opportunity to pay deference to those that are working together to try to do what's right for the city, and I think everybody in this room is, regardless of if there's comments or situations where anybody says something that people feel might be off for any reason. In the end, if everybody just works under the assumption that everyone's trying to do what's right for the city and the kids, we usually will end up in a place that doesn't get contentious or make it any difficult. So as you speak to moving forward, that would be my request as a resident, as a taxpayer, that it's far more becoming of all bodies involved. I happen to sit on a board here in the city as well, and it makes it very difficult to look at that and see as something that you want to do if it devolves into that situation. So that's passed, and we leave that where it is. The reason we're here today is also to speak to some of the things that have come up that are now going to be part of the policy book, that are going to be part of the tournaments and those things, and to make sure we are here to answer any questions. So that way there is no miscommunication. I'm glad that it is being recorded, so that way we can reference back to. Yeah. And I think that's a good request. It is. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to get into a situation where I speak directly to any member or anything because I don't want any personal attacks to be taken by anybody involved. No. I mean, here's the situation. It's not an intent to come after you. That situation is not something that I felt comfortable with and we felt comfortable with because what you're making an assumption, if it's okay, and shut me down at any point if this but what you're making an assumption is that the people involved in this are purposely trying to defraud and not have the city get what it deserves. And that's hard for all of us that have put a lot of work in. All right. And so what language was used in that meeting, if there is language that there was any confusion or anything along those lines, I think everybody involved would like the deference to be able to have had a conversation before in a public meeting. It's an assumption that Lowell Youth Baseball is trying to screw the city along. And that's what it came across as. And so, well, he represents us.
He didn't come in as a Lowell boy.
So what I don't,
I remember that. You didn't come in on
in the interest of trying to not like talk across, because I know it's not the intent. Yep. So I would just,
One morning.
yeah, well, I didn't do it. I'm just saying. All right. So my intent in all of this is to just say that in that situation, there was the opportunity to say, hey, I see a misrepresentation here. That could have been done off camera. That could have been done in a different way. And things could have been shut down in a way where the city or anybody watching doesn't go out with any confusion, be it what you saw or what Ryan saw. Now everybody has to make their own conclusion of what's happened without both sides being able to talk. And it's just with the deference to each other would have been valuable in that situation. But I really don't want to harp. I'm really not here to harp on that situation. Yeah. I would tell you that if we're running tournament, what's happening, the world has changed inside the way youth sports are happening. You're seeing it, you're umpiring, you're seeing it. The club teams are taking more and more and more away from the rec environment. And so what Lowell has tried to do is work in a hybrid way. What we've tried to do is create club environment that is inside of our network, inside of our youth leagues, so that Lowell kids are getting club experiences at greatly reduced prices. And part of the way we do that is working with clubs for things like fundraisers, or working inside our own divisions that are divisions of us to try to hold down costs in any way, shape, or form. This looks very unique, the specific situation that came up here, but it's not the only one that you've referenced in the past of wondering why it's being done. So that was the point of us being here, so that when tournament conversation comes up and when policies and procedures come up, if questions like what you have are to be raised, the people who are here trying to make those decisions in the best interest of the kids are here to answer any questions. That's the intent of why we're here. It's not to go back into the past, go back to what happened. It's to make sure that any questions you have as we roll forward, as to, I know you would ask me when I came in trying to help do the permits, certain fields are being permitted too much. We're working every time to try to draw that back. Yeah. And everybody in the room agreed. We want the fields used. Yeah.
But it was on the agenda to be spoken about, nobody came to represent.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure you guys are aware it was on the agenda when we posted it. Ryan does receive the postings.
Mhm.
So nobody came to talk about it, so the board.
Fair. I think it's a fair.
I think for you guys to come and speak about it, but nobody did.
I think it's a perfectly fair assumption in that situation to assume that anything that would have come up that looks to question the integrity of anybody involved would be shut down and we wouldn't have to be. That would be my assumption. I obviously was wrong. So in this situation, we should, Pete, we'll come, and that's why we're here. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and that any questions along these lines, if it seems different, it's usually because the world around us has changed. The youth soccer and the youth baseball we all grew up with, it's just not that anymore. It's why it's Lowell Youth Baseball. There's no neighborhood baseball anymore because the world has changed, and we're trying to keep up with it too. And we're not always going to get everything right, but the intentions are not malicious, and that's just that's it. And so as things go through, questions, concerns about why it's done this way, how do we make sure that doesn't happen next year? That's why we're here as you're putting the policy
We
together.
establish guidelines and rules.
Yeah. And we're happy to follow them. Yeah.
place.
Yep.
And I knew the non-transferable thing, whether it was written or not,
Mhm.
had been there.
I don't give us,
Back in the Stone Age.
and I don't, but didn't mean to interrupt, I apologize. We are not trying to transfer. We're trying to commingle something that looks different than what we've all done before. And we got to make sure we do it right.
We have been talking about the agenda, and nobody shows up. We just can't.
Sure, sure.
And that's the way it is, because we one.
What was it we would
We've run
speak?
into that with a lot of other groups.
Can I ask what we were supposed to speak on? The agenda,
Nobody showed up, and they wouldn't have charged a fee for it, because it's a youth tournament, it's a fundraiser, they never charge fees for it. So it's not that they think you're trying to screw the city on money, the issue was they thought it was being sublet to New England Prime or.
Yes.
USA Prime.
So they wanted to find out about that, and nobody showed them. So that was what the concern,
Good faith with us.
they had made a decision earlier.
That's a private club. different operation,
Because
not,
if that was brought up in August, we wouldn't be sitting here.
okay. So, but let me ask you the question. If the intent of the operation, and please, anybody involved at any point, if you want to introduce it, I don't want to monopolize time. But if the intent of this specific tournament, if the intent of it is to run it in conjunction with another organization to raise money for Lowell youth baseball and softball, I'm confused as to what the issue is.
Because we didn't know
Can I
that.
answer that first? Can I answer
Sure, sure, I appreciate it.
When he came in that night for that permit, it was never mentioned that it was gonna be a fundraiser. Okay?
See, so the meeting before it came up because I know it.
It's all hearsay now because it wasn't.
I know, so then why should you be the authority on the subject?
He's not
Not being a-
let him speak.
I apologize.
I'm not being the authority. We voted on something that was told to us it was gonna be an in-house tournament.
According to you, but he says otherwise. I
Well,
apologize.
he did say.
We had the other board meeting.
Yeah.
Members agreed with me.
I was aware there was an in-house tournament.
That's the way we
Okay.
were told,
Yeah, the
okay?
minutes.
That's what we went on. That's what I got when I seen this here.
Mhm.
And like I said, they're not in good grace with us. Maybe this is why Gil doesn't want to open up the concession stand, because what they did down
Ooh.
there. They-
Wait a minute, we're not getting.
We'll open that
involved.
can of worms whenever you're ready.
Gil doesn't-
Whenever you're ready for that
Gil
can of
doesn't
worms.
I'm just saying.
We're here right now.
Yeah, stay on that. Yeah.
What
John, I
happened,
appreciate it.
happened.
You know,
Yeah.
If these guys did this, you would never want to knock on the door.
When we want to go there, we can make many
We're not-
references to other
we're
situations.
sticking to
Yeah,
this
yeah,
issue.
yeah, that's why.
We're
Yeah.
not going on any other issues.
Yeah.
Okay?
But I'm just saying.
So-
He did not, he came in, he misled us, okay?
All right.
On what this tournament was gonna be. You guys will never mention that it was gonna be a fundraiser for you. It was never mentioned.
Well,
So we all agreed
All
that.
right, so
Just for
let's,
the record, his account is Lowell Youth Baseball Softball League account, so
Yeah,
it's not like it was a
Yeah,
private account for him, so I just,
yes,
I
okay.
just want to be fair on both
If you've
sides.
spoken,
Yes.
I believe, Tom, you've spoken enough. Maddie, you've spoken enough. I want to hear from people that have not. Okay, I'm not gonna keep going round and round. Okay, I'm getting dizzy. All right, Mr. Rowe.
I only represent Lowell youth baseball and softball or rec basketball. I don't represent anybody else, so I wouldn't have got a permit under any other pretenses. We don't have enough girls to have our own in-house tournament. You know, we'll have some teams for sure, but the whole point of this is, you know, even in our spring leagues, we play against Drake and Chance. We don't have enough teams, so I know we don't have enough to support a whole weekend's worth of games. So at the end of the day, we're 100% the beneficiary of this. We're the ones that are reaping the benefits of it, mostly from concession stands. And one of the reasons why, if he doesn't want to charge money on top of it, because he's just looking to break even from a tournament perspective, he's looking to do a toy drive and looking to have any proceeds, if any $2, anything more than that is going to go to benefit.
Who's he?
The person who is the
Charlie.
Charlie.
I just want to make sure that when we get
Yes.
minutes later, we have.
Sure, sure.
Right.
Yes, and I understand. I get it. Charlie works for another organization that he was from another organization that's getting all this slack. It wasn't necessarily him per se, but understandable. That, and I'm a steward here for the parks of Lowell as well. You know, so when if it's Gil has a problem, like I want his tournaments to run well. I want the fields to be in good shape. That's my goal. My goal is 100% volunteer on that side of the table, and then when I'm on this side of the table, I'm 100% volunteer as well. I want to make sure that the city is getting everything that it needs to get and running well. So I've never tried to personally attack anybody. I want to just make sure that we're all doing the right thing. And I get it, communication lines can get blurred, but I'm very easy to find. My phone number is on, and my email, everything is very easy for me to find. So, trust me, when registrations come up, I get lots of calls. My number is very easy to find. So, if there was ever a problem, it could have been addressed with me prior to a meeting, because I would have done the same for others.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, as a former president of a youth organization for over 25 years in the acre, I can tell you the hardest thing is we didn't charge our kids. I had sponsors and we went out and did fundraisers and stuff like that. And as we've seen through the last, I would say 10, 15 years, we've seen the development of youth baseball as we know it to be neighborhood youth base. And to take on this huge situation here where we're trying to now get everybody to play together, which is to me is the ultimate way of friends, of kids from one part of the city knowing another kid in the side of the city, the same age as themselves. So once you're 8 years old, you learn this kid's name. Now you're going to go to high school with this kid because he's the same age, going to go to the same grades, both of you. So you get to know each other. So I think the citywide league, to me, is the best thing that's happened to the city alone. Because now you get kids from different neighborhoods that are playing against each other and get to know each other rather than just playing in your neighborhood league. And I would think that the cost of trying to run a league like this is got to be, I mean, just when I was running, it was incredible. Between the equipment, uniforms, insurance, you name it, it just empires, it continues to go up and up. So I think if anything, we all know our fellow board member, we all know he's a sincere guy. To be able to do what he's doing is sitting on this board, and then going out there, not only being, involved with the league, but also coaching the kids. And he has his own children, he has his own family that he's away from night in, night out. Some of us personally gone through that, missing my kid's first little league game because I was somewhere else at a meeting. Can tell you, it grows. But I think we know our fellow brother, board commissioner, I'm sorry, that, as being very truthful guy, honest guy, funny guy sometimes when he wants to be. But I don't think that if we misled, I don't think he did it purposely. We're talking about the kids here who are benefiting. Not Ryan, not the league, not anybody else, not even the parents. We're talking about the kids, keeping the cost down so that every kid in this city can play baseball and can't say, well, it's $60, Mom, and I got 5 kids at home and I can't afford to play. I've talked to Ryan, I've talked to Matt about that. No kid is ever left behind. So I think in the big picture, are we a little pissed off? Maybe, excuse my expression, because I make a talk again. When we talk about being upset because someone verbally didn't say something correctly, or because some flyer went out, but I think that might have been incorrectly, because when I see the flyer, it sort of drew some attention. I think in the big picture, we got to say, okay, you know what? That's not what we're about. And I think the board member knows, board member Ryan knows that's not what we're about. And I think by putting some rules and regulations that we've been working on as a group the last 2 years, we're getting there. A lot of this stuff will work itself out in the long run. So I think the intention and what I read on his comments about, Steve Bottle, that's an honorable thing to have a scholarship fundraiser foundation for Toys for Tots. I worked for Toys for Tots when I was a young kid. A very honorable, group of people. So I think the big intent here has to overcome any mistakes that might have been made. And I think, and for the coaches and fellow league members that come out and support him, that's honorable because he's an honorable guy. From what I've known of Ryan, and like I said, he can be funny sometimes, so that's another story. But I really think that we need to move on. This board has a lot of work to do. Concerning our policy and procedures, it has to go before the council, has to go before an ordinance. We got a lot of work to go on. So I would just like to say that, if there was some mistakes made verbally because of what he might have said and because of the flyer to come out. I think that a point has been made, and I think we need to move on and approve the permits, let the tournament go forward, and let's just move on. I think we've got a lot of work to do before us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I would.
Identify yourself.
Sure. My name is Brian Durkin. I'm the Director of Player Development for Lowell Youth Baseball. I'm a resident of the city of Lowell and attorney of the city of Lowell. I watched that meeting. And what I saw during the course of that meeting from minute 41 on for the next 20 minutes, I watched something I don't want to watch again. I watched the integrity of Ryan Rourke. I watched the integrity and the reputation of our board take a direct hit. And regardless of the characterization of whether or not it was shut down or not, words like fraud, words like subterfuge, words like misrepresentation were thrown about for 20 minutes without the opportunity. And I understand you have a flyer there, Commissioner, I do. But there's another flyer that went out as well that the Spinners sent out that has the Lowell Youth Baseball logo and the Spinners logo together, the USA Prime together, showing that it's for Toys for Tots and it's a Lowell Youth Baseball fundraiser and softball fundraiser directly for the benefit of the city of Lowell. And we're passionate, we are, sometimes to a fault. But the bottom line is we took something that was dying and we have put together through Lowell Youth Baseball and Lowell Youth Softball collectively through this collective board with representatives from across the city. We had the most successful year of all time for the city of Lowell. And what I want to be able to reflect upon is a huge part of that was Ryan Rourke. And a huge part of that is the Lowell Youth Baseball culture that's been created. And I don't want to watch that again, because what I like to see is guys like Ryan. I like to see commissioners across the board volunteering their time for what's best for the city and what's best for the kids of the city of Lowell. And I believe that everybody here is doing that. But a meeting like that last week for 20 minutes has a chilling effect on the ability for people like myself, people like Ryan, or people across the city to want to volunteer. I don't want ever to have to watch Megan sit there and say, I can't believe this is what happened to Ryan. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to hear that. And I think we have a duty, and it's incumbent upon us as taxpayers, as residents, as board members, as everybody trying to move in the same direction, to move Lowell in a positive direction, to make sure that that's recognized. And I appreciate the fact that we're having this open air discussion, but I just, as a pure objective watcher of that meeting, I was disappointed. And I think we can all do better. And I think it comes from, like you said, the open line of communication. And I think it's very important that we do that. But I think it's also important that we remember that it's very important to have invested and caring individuals be part of these boards to make sure that Lowell is getting the best of the best across the board. So thank you for the time, sir.
Can I ask you just one question? Right, why did they come up with a second flyer?
Why did they?
Yep.
The Spinners sent it out as a make sure that they could raise as much money across the board as they could. Whether US, so
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I knew what he was saying.
that's what the Spinners out of Tewksbury and now USA Prime, they were bought. But I mean, it doesn't change the fact that we're all rolling in the same direction to benefit in the form of a scholarship, a fundraiser, and Toys for Tots. I mean, it's a good thing.
Right, I wouldn't have no problem with that. So what you just said, the fundraiser, scholarship, and all that. If we were told that night, we would not. It was just me and Brian, Keith, vote on it. And we were just told it was going to be an in-house fun tournament. That's all we were told.
But my only
Let me just do that.
sure.
If that's the original sin, and we're all to call that the original sin, then the secondary sin off of that was not allowing Ryan the opportunity to speak to that before it got what appeared personal to us. So if we both can agree that those are
It
mistakes.
was on the agenda. Like you said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, but well,
We hashed this
yeah, that's right.
over and over again.
I'm just looking to agree that there are multiple mistakes made. I mean, that's okay.
The old fashioned
Okay.
way, you're
Okay.
on the street playing ball,
This
just
is
to
what
make
I
out
got.
and move on. We all learned from it, and I think we all have learned from this. Okay? You know, and how we conduct the meeting. when I watched the thing, I was ashamed that I didn't shut it down earlier. And I wasn't gonna get anybody get attacked because that was not the place for it. We could do that in private. Okay? You know, communication, as I started out to, is the key. If we had clear lines of communication in anything in life, a lot of the situations wouldn't happen. Do they happen? Yes. Okay? Do we learn from them? Hopefully. So that's what I would like to move on. And as Kiki had said, you know, let's move on from this, okay? There's no hard feelings from me. You know, I know half of you guys.
I actually have a question too. Why did you go to Lawrence for umpires instead of Wood?
I mean, I can answer.
Don't answer.
Wait a minute,
Don't answer that,
whoa,
'cause
whoa,
that's gonna
whoa,
take us down a
no,
road,
no.
Tom, that you don't want.
Rehash
It's gonna take us down a road you
Rehash
don't
it,
want.
not opening up again. What they did, that wasn't the situation. I don't care if they went to Alaska for that reason. Okay?
That's what
It's
you said
not-
last week.
Pardon?
That's what you said last.
No, I said if I knew what it was, if that's what it was, I would have been different. And I didn't know, and that's why I said we had to go forward.
I work for the whole state.
Gentlemen,
Well, a can of worms got opened and we're continually being attacked. So
you know what? You're not being attacked. Somebody's issuing your thing. I told it, I'm shutting him down and I'm shutting you down. Anybody else want to continue, please leave.
Mr. Chairman, what did you just say on this?
Right, that's what my point exactly.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, God, would you like to say anything on this issue?
Yeah, actually,
I would appreciate
number
it.
one.
I should be called attention, but I would.
Oh, no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no worries.
No,
No,
it's
I
okay.
actually have no problem speaking right now, especially, Ryan, number one, I hope that you guys are, I actually really think highly of you. And what I said was based on the information that was presented to me, but I was in no way intending on accusing you or any of your counterparts of any type of subterfuge or fraud, etc. Now, that said, I'm very intentional with my words and words if it's happening. So please, please, when we walk out of here, I do not want it to be that, well, Ka said, because if there's one thing I've learned is that it's very easy to try to do something like that when I'm very intentional about what I say, because if I don't know about a situation, I'm not going to speak on it. All I can speak on is if something on record is paid or not paid, but okay, well then that does look kind of crazy. Fine. But yeah, but again, Ryan, all of you, I apologize. If you were offended, I apologize. And I do sincerely do so. And that is all and everyone else, I respect all of your opinions and everyone that I've worked with. Hey, I take what you guys say very seriously, and I am sorry. You know what? This is just a good learning lesson. That's it. That's all I can say.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if since it's been approved, that I need to remake a motion to approve the permits as requested for the weekend, or if they've already been approved.
It's been approved.
It's been approved. I think the only thing I've got to say is that I think mostly to the recreation director or whoever needs to listen, because if nobody's gonna listen, I will personally go out there on Saturday and make sure that the bathrooms are open. I want the bathrooms open on Saturday.
They're gonna be open, Keith.
Okay.
They're definitely gonna be open.
If they are not, I will personally be out there to make sure
They're
the
gonna be
bathrooms
open, I
are open.
know that.
Recreation wouldn't have any keys if anybody would be parks.
But the recreation department has you have the contact. I don't have the right, nor does the board member here have a right. Okay, I don't have a board, I as a board member don't have a right to call Shannon Board. Nor does any council have a city right, city council have a right to call a department and tell the department to do something. I don't have a right to do that. All I'm saying is the communication from the vote of this board tonight is to make sure the bathrooms are open for the kids on Saturday.
Who's gonna be there for you, Ryan, Saturday?
I'll be there in the morning.
Call Gil Friday night.
Well, that's why we
that's a good segue into the future if you'd like.
originally wanted the concession stand permit Friday night, Saturday night. Honestly, like the concession stand part of it. Honestly, that's fine. The bathrooms are really all I need, and maybe a refrigerator would be great, just so we don't.
I don't know about the refrigerator, but I know your bathrooms will be open.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're not trying to, intrude on anyone's, I
If
get it.
you want, I'll make the call tonight. Make sure that-
Now we can go forward, we all work together.
And that's why so if, like I said, if in the interest of moving things along, if you want, that's why we're here, to discuss what's going forward.
Some of these leagues, they can have they own these concession stands. We have the city attorneys with us, because there's a lot of fears. There's a lot of fears from the superintendent of the recreation department and the superintendent of the parks department, that once we take that over or use it, we're now responsible for the city for replacing pipes that are broken or whatever. I mean, we can think of any scenario not to open it. And I'm telling you, open them. Open the goddamn bathrooms, open it, and whatever else gotta be open. And let's work. We really wanna work together as a city. Isn't that the first way to do it? Is allowing people to use the bathrooms?
I was never told the bathrooms would be there, so I know.
Well, it
So-
shouldn't
we
be
were
a
told
question,
we
though. It shouldn't be a question, is my
We were
point.
told
We
we were.
argued over this or not.
I made a call.
Open the
He's
bathrooms.
just waiting for somebody to
You
call.
shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to make someone to open the goddamn bathroom.
I'll call him.
But you and I work in the same end. We want to see you well.
Right.
So I
All
think
right.
we're on.
I'll call Bill.
Gentlemen, we will discuss this amongst
Yes,
ourselves.
okay.
Oh, I'd love that to be public.
I
You let me, if you want to use this as a way to segue, I don't want to, tell me when I can speak.
That's not why we're here tonight.
No, I understand.
That's part of
But
policy.
It's part of the agenda on Saturday,
Yeah, absolutely
because
part of
that's part of his
Right.
permit to
Going
have the
forward,
bathroom.
clean up these
Okay.
things. There's a
Okay.
lot of items.
Yeah, during the policy discussion, we'd love to discuss that. Because there's misconceptions on some of the
Love
things
to
we do
have
too.
Yeah.
There's some of the misconceptions on what we do too. So, we clear
No
those
one
up.
knows better than the guy on the field.
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to say, I know that it's been said over and over, but seriously, the reason that we're here is to bring the city of Lowell together, which sounds like it's a very lofty goal. And I know that I've put in more than enough of my time to bring literally to bring the Lowell youth together. And I've been growing up in Lowell. I've seen what it can be. I've seen where it is. I've seen where it can be again. Now, I think it's really important for us to be clear and to be open and to be as expressive as possible from the beginning. So, because what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And just let's please remember that moving forward, because it's because the great thing is, the good side is we're all here because we care about this ultimate goal. But day to day, maybe some of us want to go and do. So that's my 2 cents.
That's all planned out.
Yeah.
It'll be right in a couple months.
That's right. In a month. Yeah, it'll be right in a month.
Okay. All right. So tournament rules and regulations.
So just what we'll do is we'll take that approved amendment that you guys voted on to number 10. We'll send it to law. They're trying to send the book, handbook to the council next week. So I don't know if this is going to make it in the next week. when it
We
goes to
got it as an
council.
addendum.
So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on. They are trying to get it in next week. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. They want to approve the handbook and new fee structure at the next council meeting, or if not next week, the week after. So it should be in place for January 1st when you guys want to start it up here.
January 1st, 2028.
So it's only been 16 months, so.
That's okay. We're getting there.
Fast
Slowly but
along.
surely.
Mr. Chairman, does that answer the review of tournament rules and regulations? Can we come up to one of?
I believe we beat that long enough. I believe everybody's had a chance to
Well,
speak.
can I just, if I may, on the tournament, I'm sorry, I wrote some other stuff down for the tournament rules, if it's okay now, Mr. Chairman.
We can do that amongst ourselves. Gentlemen, you're more than welcome to stay.
I mean, if they want to be here, it's
You wanna
gonna
be
on
here
future
and add-
results and
add
something.
something?
Yeah, I think our intent is to make sure the definition and breakout of tournament is the way we all see it. So that way there's no miscommunication as to what is considered a tournament. So we're happy to stay and have a discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing, please find out, who made the telephone call.
Yeah, that's, listen, from all the parties involved with us, if it's anybody involved with us, that is not, that is not okay. We can't come in here saying we didn't like one thing and then condone another. That's not okay.
All right. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add on this?
Yeah. Tournament, it's on page 8, below current, fee structure.
Okay.
I would like to add on the tournaments, this is page 8, and it's the last paragraph under the park general use permit. The tournament permit fees, non-synthetic fields, this is for permits now, for tournament. And I will write this out, Heather, I will send you. Non-synthetic fields, flat fee of $500 per field per day. Additional fees will be added based on the permit needs, that being custodians, lights, or whatever. These fees will not be, the groups that I'm going to announce will not be subject to these fees. It will be high school, nonprofits, youth residents, 501c3s. And when you look at, I got these rules and some of these fees from Whistler. Whistler has just, $950 for non-synthetic field. I'm proposing $500. They also have, there will be no discounts given for this fee. I'm not proposing that language at all. We as a board decide whether or not we want to give a discount to certain groups or not certain. For instance, if we have the Special Olympics that want to use the fields, we're not going to probably charge the Special Olympics. So I don't want any language that's going to restrict this board of our responsibility that if we have a group that comes here before us and says, I want to use a field for a certain benefit or something like that, we have to write it as a board to vote that. When you put additional language in it restricts you. No, I think it only allows you so much restriction. So I'm not in favor of putting any language other than that. So I want to make that clear. We currently have that right now in our policy about who's given first preferences on the fields. Well, leading up to the nonprofits and stuff like that, I don't want to charge anybody for use of the fields at this point.
My one question on nonprofits, that's a pretty wide open area.
Yeah.
United Way is a nonprofit, and they make millions of dollars. So everybody that comes in is a nonprofit. So
Do you want them to submit the 501c3 paperwork onto their account?
If that's requested, yeah.
That's what I just need to find out
Okay.
from you guys,
Right.
what you want to define nonprofit.
No, I'll be honest with you right here.
I usually like to define nonprofits as two things. Volunteer, lots of volunteer, 501c3 organizations, and nonprofits, like general's a nonprofit. Right. People make money, nobody makes money.
That's why one of the things that but I just want to say that, honestly, when I put this together over the last couple of days, there's been so much other stuff that I'm involved with. It's been
you've done a great job.
becoming this spearhead. So I just wanted to put something for conversation because we've been talking about it,
Right.
nobody's ever presented anything. So I want to present something, not saying, listen, I'm not saying my proposal is, God's rule. No, what I'm saying is, let's have a conversation. If you want to add things, like if people want to discuss it, no, that's what I want. I was just looking to open discussions for it.
No.
So is it high schools and nonprofits that you wanted to leave it for, or is there anybody else on there?
I didn't. I just had that, the Lowell high school fields, nonprofits, 501c3s, and youth of the city. Because
Just Lowell High School?
high school, yes,
Oh,
just Lowell high
okay.
school, just Lowell high school.
What about-
Lowell Catholic and these other places, I
have a lot of
I gotta be careful because I have grandchildren going there.
And there's a lot of pushback on
No,
it.
and
Well, that's why I
understand.
want to make sure that we administrate the way you want. If you want the 501c3 paperwork that's different than others. Now, a government group like a high school, like a city is doing something, or like, where do you want it? If it's just these two, that's fine. I just want to make sure that
Okay,
You bringing these up for a vote tonight?
no,
All right, so, all right. We can do-
but I follow the discussion because I don't feel that we're gonna have, I don't want to just throw some other work on it and say we're eating for Tuesday night. I don't want to do that because whatever rules we're gonna put here, I don't want to have to come back and keep on amending them. So let's look at any case scenario of how we might, are we missing different groups? Are we missing certain language so that we're, make sure we're saying the right things. So I just want to make sure that we're having the discussion, and I want to stop the discussion tonight.
I just want to make sure, because we have,
And this is tournaments now, tournaments.
right, but we're seeing a lot more like groups that aren't necessarily 501c3s that are nonprofits, like Ryan was saying, that volunteer, they don't charge fees, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's why I just want to make sure that when you guys go with
Those
nonprofit,
organizations would have to file things with the Internal Revenue Service and with the state and with the government.
they should,
Establish.
they don't always.
No.
And that's the
they
problem.
should.
But again, that's why I want to find out if they're not
Right.
filing that, if they're still a nonprofit. Do you guys want access to those 501c3 paperwork? Do you want to, like, how do you want to administer it? Because
No, they would have
that
to.
falls on us, and we're the ones that deal with the phone calls 30 days in advance between meetings. So we need
No,
to
no, I
know how to
know.
direct them before they come forward to you.
If they're not
want to
gonna
bring it with
file
them or
the
not.
501c3 stuff, where legally, they're not a nonprofit.
Right, but if you want that, you need to tell them to bring it to the meeting or to put it in their account. That's why we need to know
Correct.
how you guys as a
Right.
5-member board.
Yeah. And let me tell you that
They have it.
when you check Worcester and some of these other communities, the youth organizations in Worcester are charged. They're charged.
Those are great. They get charged,
So they're
once
charged.
charged,
Um,
Chancellor's
they're
charged.
charged 50%. So if we would, just for discussion, we were saying we're gonna charge everybody else $500, but we're not gonna charge this group. It doesn't mean that someone can't come in and say, oh, I want to charge them, I think we should charge them $250, especially if they're making money with outside groups. That's entirely up to the group. I'm proposing for a youth organization, a local youth organization, a nonprofit. Like I said, I use the Special Olympics and other groups, 501c3. But mostly I'm dealing with high school and youth organizations from within the city. That is clearly my intent.
Okay,
And
no, I
if you want to
understand.
expand it, that's fine. If someone wants to add other groups, that's fine. But my intention is clearly the high school. And I would just give a short speech. That renovation out there at the stadium is going to cost the city somewhere around, if I'm reading right, and I mean, everything I'm stating is about what I read, $7.4 million. State's kicking in money, the federal government's kicking. You have a group of citizens that are out there fighting every day to try to raise every buck they can to raise money to fix that field up. So I'm sick of giving fields away. Okay, and that's my next point. My next point is synthetic fields in the city. That'll be $1,000 flat fee.
That's tournament only?
Tournaments only, flat fees. Peter, I'm sorry, I want to amend it not to be just tournament only, the use of synthetic fields, any use of synthetic fields.
How much?
$1,000. That's before any other fees take place. Fees including custodians, fees including the lights, fees including the little police officers, firemen, or whoever else they need out there. This fee is a flat fee of $1,000. And people tell me, you know what they said when I talk to some people, think, well, nobody's gonna want to use it. That's my intent. I don't want you using the field. I don't want people using that field. That's our number one field in the city. We pay a lot of money to maintain that. And if groups gonna use that, soccer fields, or whether no city football, or low Catholics don't want to use the field, they're gonna pay to use the field. Just like there's a group out there trying to raise funds to improve the field, improve the whole situation up there. We're giving that field. The last two groups we're giving that field away to, we're non-low high school affiliated group, and we gave them to, and one wasn't even a high school, a non-profit group, gave them for $400. Are you kidding me? $400. You couldn't get the cow pasture out there. They couldn't use one of the practice fields for $400. We gave the college stadium synthetic field for $400. So
Nature of everything is changed.
exactly. So I'm looking, and again, low high school, the 501c3s, the youth football programs and stuff like that is not my intent to charge them. My intent is to charge outside groups or someone else coming in, whether someone wants to have a soccer tournament out there or someone wants to have a football tournament out there. I think we need to charge them. Like this synthetic field, is that the only field we have here is just high school? Is it Cavallo field, is that a
They were talking about putting another one in, but
Cavallo?
Yeah, we did.
Cavallo
Cavallo
is
turf.
turf.
Yeah,
Is that
Cavallo.
synthetic?
Yep,
Yeah.
just turf. Yeah, we just got it turf in the last 3 weeks.
Officially.
Yeah, it's all done. The ribbon cutting was yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They don't tell us anything.
Yeah.
Did you get the memo?
You know what, the best way to keep it is to have my shoes on. I just think if we continue to use it.
Just so when you guys
He
discuss
said it
this,
when he was on the board, that was his biggest thing, using the fields too much.
just when you guys discuss this going forward, we have groups that come every summer that are high school teams that are playing out of season, so it's not technically a high school group. So you guys will have to decide how you guys want to handle that too, because they're high school players, but it's not a high school group.
I understand, Peter, out there, we have 3 or 4 different fields. We don't just have one field.
I know, but.
I don't
you
want,
guys give them the
I as one
permit,
person, one board member, I want as little use on that field as possible.
but the board
Except my high
permits
school
them for
teams
the turf
and
every
you, my,
year.
my
for
up
Monday
line
through-
teams. And other groups.
So you guys permit them every year from Monday through Friday for
Well,
soccer.
once we.
It's not technically a high school team, you know.
They
it's football,
subterfuge. How they.
It's high school
MIAA
players.
Right.
Playing as a.
We all know how that's done.
Coaches.
So I just want, and you guys can vote on it any way you want, but I just want to
No,
make sure you guys,
good point.
we have the language, because they always tell us, well, we're a high school team. Call the high school, we're not a high school team.
They
That's
can't
how
be.
it's easy.
I think like the chairman said, Peter, I was just looking this up. I wasn't looking to take a vote. I was just.
No, you wanna get the discussion.
I just want that to be something that we-
the meeting, so next, when Heather, sends us all the minutes of this meeting, what we discussed, maybe we can all take some time and look at what other communities are
Right.
getting and say, hey, you know what, maybe keep this, that. I didn't have, I'll be honest with you, 100%, I wasn't doing my union contracts, I wasn't dotting my i's across my t's, it was something I was going over, reading, and saying, hey, that looks good, that could work here. There are many different communities, and Heather, thank you
Done
so
a
much.
great amount of work.
I've been checking Medford, Baraker, and some of these other communities,
Chelmsford.
Cambridge, Chelmsford.
Yeah.
That's why we had Low Cap to come here. Chelmsford charges a lot more. I think there was, and they charge per hour.
Per hour.
You're talking about $250 or $300 per hour. We gave them the field and Lowell for $340. Really?
Yeah,
But, you know,
low Catholic, a different fish. When we deal with
I have
it.
grandchildren.
We're dealing with
I'm
people in
sure
the
I'm getting a
city
call.
that are connected to it.
Now in Chelmsford, they have to pay the use fee. That's what I'm saying, everything, yeah.
so it's just, that's my proposal as right now for the tournament piece, just to start there.
Maddie, you had something you wanted to add?
Just to add to the discussion, so that be on the record and, everybody can mull it through. 2 things, being heavily involved in the renovation out at Colley Stadium, the turf itself now, just to replace the turf, is about $1.2 million. And they have to be replaced every 12 years or so, give or take. Brand new. Carvalho's, 3 weeks old, but the other one, the other one's 6 years old or so. Rizzo's has been around now 5-6 years. And so, increasing revenue that can then help the city replace that when that time comes seems like a very intelligent endeavor in this process. The other thing that I was going to point out, and something that I know is important to us, is the actual definition of a tournament. Because I know this has come up, what's a tournament, And so to put open for discussion, the idea that a tournament is something where the teams or the attendees are being charged. That would be kind of the concept. And then outside of that, and I bring this up again, an example. We are very fortunate to be looked upon now as Lowell Youth Baseball as a place to come and play district level, state level, and regional level tournaments. So if Cal Ripken baseball or USA softball wants to allow something to be hosted here and it's run through us, is that a tournament? Well, we're not charging the teams. The teams are playing their parent leagues, USA softball or Cal Ripken. So what is that? Is that a tournament? If that's going to be waived because we're a 501c3, well, let's just make sure we don't open up a can of worms where somebody else does something,
Right.
And so care should be taken to what the definition of a tournament is.
My definition of a tournament is that's the way I feel. Okay?
So if it's the regionals, if we have a chance to host New England regionals for Cal Ripken baseball. If we're hosting it, we don't charge anybody. Cal Ripken does. Is that okay? You know what I mean? Like, this is where it gets gray, because now our team's going to be in it. So we're hosting, we're in it, we're hosting, we're bringing in people from all around New England into the city of Lowell. That's economic development. That's great. This is all good. I just don't want to make sure that then gets conflated with what else might look like a tournament, because then you have other nonprofits that, again, go ahead.
What you're saying to me is, that's a town working tournament, they're running that, not you.
Well, we are the host.
I'm not a host.
We're the host.
Cal
Cal Ripken can't pull the permit.
Yeah, Cal Ripken is making it, so they're the ones actually, I think.
Yeah, we can't charge Cal Ripken, we can only charge them as they're doing the permit. So he
That's what I
says
mean,
he
this is
doesn't
where it
want to be
gets-
charged. This is where it gets-
That's why I said, let's bring this up for discussion now. Because
So it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're very good. We're very fortunate. We're 3 times in a row. We've got a state champion here in Lowell. It's getting recognized. We are hosting more and more things here. And so let's make sure that's a win. Yeah.
They like coming to Lowell to run the tournaments.
Mhm.
And I think next year's Gil's last year. And I don't know what's gonna happen after.
Happy to have a discussion.
You know what I've never heard, Tom, honestly, if I may, Mr. Jim? Yes. You know what I haven't heard, Tom, and thank you, Matt, for bringing it up, because you know what, I did write that down, the definition of a tournament, so we can all understand and have the same interpretation, so one's not saying, well, this is not a term, that's a term.
Mhm.
They say it's subletting, you know, what monthly fares is subletting, someone else may not, so defining things sometimes makes our job a lot easier, and that way you're not arguing about, well, we did this, we did that. But the thing I want to ask about Gil was, there is no low youth softball. Where does Gil run? What league does he run? Or does he just run a team?
Nothing.
Does he have a team?
Nothing.
So he just runs and makes money?
It doesn't make as much as you guys think he does.
No, I wouldn't care if he makes a $1. What I'm saying is $1 too much because it goes to his pocket, it's not going to the league's pocket. Who's he spending on? He's spending on the kids. So, I mean, I'm just defining there's a big difference between someone who doesn't run nothing, but I'm just running a tournament because I want to make money.
Right.
And someone's running a tournament where all the money's going back
I'm gonna tell you right now, you know what I'm saying?
scholarships, it's going back to uniforms, going back to equipment, it's going back to the players, and it's going back to the community. We have all sat on this board and allowed fees to be waived because someone was giving something back to the community, even though they were charging. But 100% of their money was going back into backpacks, they were going back into, whatever they may be. We forgo the charging. We didn't charge them. We waived the fees. Why? Because it was going back into the community. So I think we have to define when someone's just running a tournament as he's making money and putting in his pocket, he's not helping anybody, it's not himself. And he's opening a concession stand, and then someone that is opening a concession stand, but all that money is going back into giving back to the community. Big, huge difference. So I just want to make that clear, Gil, because I'm saying to myself, and I used to play against Gil's team. When we were, we used to play against Gil's team, and he had quite a lead going. But for some reason, I see the tournaments all the time by the cross street from my house at Father McGuire, and I'm seeing all these teams there, and I'm saying, where are all these teams coming from? And I see Gil out there running a tournament. I'm saying, where's this lead? Where's the lead? And there is no lead. The only lead we have. And then again, when we go back to the old sports, every league used to have every area used to have their own league. I had my own league, at one time. I had 4 teams and stuff like that. You need a minimum 4 teams to have a league. Well, you don't have that anymore.
We charge him pretty good for the season for running those tournaments too. He pays almost $12,000 a year.
Yeah. And he should.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm not arguing that point.
I mean, as the nature of everything around us changes, we have to change with it. And redefining what the rules and regulations are is gonna be constant updating.
I mean,
Just an input from you gentlemen, ladies, is very important to us for how we do things.
I mean, just listen to Peter. I mean, just right now, I mean, when I go and work on this and start working again, I'm gonna go a little tighter on the nonprofits. Who is the nonprofits in the city? Almost identifying. I hate to identify them because then again, like I said, we had a situation here in this board where we had a young boy that drowned out there by the Raleigh's farm. And that family came before us, and their family came and wanted to rent a park. We waived the fees. We said, absolutely not, I would charge you. This was a prayer session for all the people to pray and get together as a community.
Alright.
So I like to leave it open sometimes when we have situations that come about that we can't foresee, that we have, the board has the power to waive all fees based on the circumstances of the situation before us. So you put things in black and white sometimes. I don't want to constrain the board.
I would
That's why
say-
we put the word other.
Yeah, I mean, a policy book is a guidebook. It's
Right,
not,
that's
it's not a
right,
law.
right.
And so you have the ability to waive, beyond, but the policy sets a set of guides that us, who are now coming before you, can try to follow those guidelines in the best way.
But when you read some of these
Mhm.
rules, especially in Worcester, they don't waive fees.
Mhm.
They don't waive fees. And when that restriction is in your rules, that means you come before me and say, kid, I got this serious, we got a situation here. One of the families in our league had a fire. We like to raise a tournament, have a tournament, raise some funds. Well, you have that language, you can't waive the fees. So I'd rather have no language, so it means an open-ended for us to be
The
able
other
to.
thing in the Worcester is you have to hire their employees.
Oh, all right.
The Parks Department had a fee of 44.85 Keith? Sure. Keith,
That's it?
Wisdom, they have to hire the Parks Department.
Yeah.
At 44 something an hour.
Yeah, whisper.
That's Wisdom.
Yeah. No, you have an administration fee too, $125, just to follow the application.
Yeah. Again, the goal of us being here is to point out in previous meetings that we've been around and whatever, there's been question about how things now are. It's just here to kind of put it out there. And so in the interest of that, I would move forward one other. We have to clarify how we're going to handle what we consider the extension of our organization with our Memorial Day tournament. You know, it is a tournament, all right? Fees are charged, but 100% of the money goes back into the organization. So that's different from USA Prime. Yeah, but is it? That's up to you guys to decide. We would like to get that out on the table and have that discussion because the permits are pulled under Lowell Youth Baseball. Our division, which is another nonprofit, runs a tournament within us. It's all Lowell kids that are playing it. They have to be part of Lowell Youth Baseball and softball. And so it's a baseball and softball tournament on Memorial Day weekend, but it flies under a different name, 501c3, that's affiliated with us. And all of that revenue goes back into the Lowell kids. What is that in comparison to USA Prime? That's something we should clarify before we get back, because we feel that's an extension of us. I don't want anyone to feel that I don't want anyone to think we're hiding that. This is our interpretation. Yep.
That's the biggest thing there is.
So I think that stipulating which ones are which makes it easier for you guys, because then this stuff is.
Yep. That's why we're here.
Like I said, tournament, Mr. Chairman, tournaments at some point, I think definitely, I'm going to, I know I'm gonna add to it, but I just want to get the discussion, it's not for tonight, because I know we're going to discuss it. But again, I would want anybody that's having a no-day tournament, I would probably, one of my proposals is going to be added to that we hire a city employee. They permitted hire a city employee, so the bathrooms will be open, and also we'll screen the fields and chalk the lines in between games. So at that point, I mean, we'll talk about it further, Mr. Chairman, but
Yeah, we've got another.
that's gonna be part of my,
tournament. Deborah's gonna run it, and you guys somebody come in and walk us through what you're doing. Okay, so everybody knows up front what's going on.
Mhm.
Aren't there any questions unanswered and saying, well, I meant this, I said this. Like I said, communication, key to everything.
And in that vein, we have a board meeting at 8:00. We've got to run too.
I got a board meeting at 7:30.
So the only thing I would want to add for discussion, the policy discussion that can be brought up in the future is the bathrooms and the bathroom situation. We stand prepared and we always provide keys to anything we use, and the city has all keys to anything we use. McPherson's been a thorn of contention for years and something we should talk about. Yeah. We've got to figure out how to use that. Yeah, it's been a bone of contention for
You guys,
yeah.
not the old boys, but Shed Park at the time. He's coming after me to go after him.
I don't want to go after anybody. It's just
They were going after him, Matt. They were going after
One
him.
of the things that they were looking at, I don't know if they still are, was to have all the concession stands be sub-leased through MRP systems. So that way it would be, that would.
But even in that language, it's outside of the time when youth sports uses it. Even in that language,
Until they put the RFP together, we don't know what the RFP will say, because then you're looking at if they have stuff in there, you guys are coming with your stuff, then there's a transfer stuff, and the money's missing. So I think what they were originally looking at was just have somebody run it for the whole year. And I don't know if that would be different, because they're usually tied to the bathrooms. So I don't know if that
we'll
would
come
be-
out loud and proud if that's what
I don't care. Look, I don't vote on the board. I don't care how they do it, but that's just might be something where if they tie the bathrooms to,
Yeah.
that does move forward. That might be something.
It is fact that we run our season out at McPherson and have many nights that I'm not going to get into intent. It's not of ill intent. For whatever reason, the bathrooms are not open. It could be because someone somewhere or whatever. That shouldn't happen to the girls. And that's all we want. So I'm going to just for 1 second engage. I personally tried to get to Gil 3 times to tell him when he had to have them open. and he wouldn't get back to me, wouldn't even call me back. Said, who the hell are you?
Call me.
Why would I talk to you?
And he called me and I will call Gil.
Well, it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be a personal interaction like that. I shouldn't be calling Gil. Yeah. Yeah. But it should be at the hands of the Parks Department. Excuse me? I don't know how McPherson works. Yeah. In the past they were. This year we've allowed you can get in to all of the concession stands through a map. Yep. We can adhere to whatever, you know.
And that's up to the board again, but I'm just.
That's something definitely, I said, I started that off this meeting, that I'm beside myself there. We have, the city doesn't have a keys to these bathhouses, because anybody gets a permit for a permit, they should have the rights to use the bathhouses in that field. And that's site, that's it.
We can go down tomorrow and cut all the locks off and.
I don't think we have to get that addressed. I think we just have to get the.
I would.
Get the guy from the Parks Department, just say, hey, listen.
So you're clear, we did. We went down and we unified all of them and gave the key to six, except for one concession. And bathrooms.
Users, the young ladies and elderly people coming to watch the grandkids should have the right to use it.
Yeah, it's tough to get a phone call of why is my 7-year-old having to go down to McDonald's. That's a tough.
But you know what? It's
One day.
French fries. Yeah. The same token, I have to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't want to have to make a phone call. It's bull crap that I have to make a phone call to anybody.
Yeah.
You get a permit, I give you a permit, the bathrooms will be open.
And not meant to get,
Simple.
I don't even want to get into
There's no
intent.
who has the
It's not
keys,
about it. It's
all
just we
this,
have to fix it.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit of the history going back when all these concessions stands first being set up. You had a lot of city councilors from an area, and this concession stand was set up, and anything that was done, it went to the tower, and the tower came back and told us what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, whether we like that or not, that is what has happened. Okay, now if we all get together, we try to change that philosophy and how things are done. Okay.
Just for the policy discussion.
Yeah. Anytime you have any questions, by all means, give me a call. We'll discuss things. I'm not gonna hide.
Guys, I just want to say from one who wrote that again, as somebody used to run a league, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Putting the little baseball and softball groups back together when there was a couple of years when it wasn't available, when the leagues were just breaking up and didn't have enough kids. So I appreciate everything you're doing for the kids. And let me tell you, 10 or 15 years from now, the kids all have beards. Okay, coach, you remember me? And you'll say, we didn't have a beard at 9 years old. But it's the greatest satisfaction you can have, a coach I have. And it's the greatest satisfaction I have in my life. And I see a lot of these grown kids that I coached for the period of days, and they just say, thank you. It's worth it. It's worth it all. Believe me. Thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of the city for everything you guys do.
The thankless job. We've all done it.
Yep.
It's sitting here. And if you're going into it to be thanked, you go into
You're
it
in the
with your
wrong
own
business.
sense of feeling that you're able to do something to help some poor child or family
Mhm.
be able to retrieve a little bit of peace in their life through sport. That's all.
And things will get better as long as we're all working together.
They are better.
That should be.
They are better.
Okay, let's
Thank
move
you.
on. I got
Thank you
places
for
to
coming,
go
guys.
and
Thank
things to
you.
do. And gentlemen, thank you very much for showing up. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. See you in half an hour.
Did any of you work in the garage?
So back.
You're all in the street.
Want my number, Maddie?
You can leave that over here.
Yeah,
You don't
tell
know
me
what
about
you
it.
are. You want to Western charge you, they use the fields.
Yeah, that's why we kicked their ass.
All right, real quick, Mr.
You were hanging yourself. We didn't know
Right,
what they
yeah,
paid.
let's,
Mr. Chairman, just one thing I have, I know we discussed it on the board is that, and I'd like to propose that under page 3 of our common policy procedure, that we, add to, that we add, request for permit deadlines.
yes.
I know that the board has spoken about that because we no longer as a board want to see an open-ended April, October permits. So under my guidelines, it has, and when you look through most of your cities and towns, some have 3 seasons and some have 4. my proposal for discussion would have 4. The spring season would have April 1st to June 30th. So there'll be no permits given out after June 30th. And that the application deadline has to be in by March 1st. Now, my only question is, Heather, what is the time element now that they need in order to put a permit before the board? Is it 2 weeks prior to the meeting?
1 week
1 week.
before the agenda.
Okay. So if someone was doing something for April 1st, as long as they had the permit in March 1st, we would meet on the end of March. Would that be enough time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's my proposal for the spring season. Summer season would be the dates from July 1st to August 31st. Someone wants to commit to them days, they have the June 1st to request their permit for that date. And when I'm saying request, they cannot put the permit in prior to that. They're not gonna come in January, February, say, well, I want to permit for July 1st and August 31st,
Yeah.
you know? So what we're trying to do is restrict, keep fields open a little bit, but still be understanding. When I stated under the tournament things, if people are not going to be used for certain dates, then they be notified.
Plus, it also opens up communication, they can, in next time, to request them, we can ask questions, go back and
Right.
forth and clarify different issues that we may have.
The fall season, I have September 1st till November 30th, and they have till August 1st to request the date. The winter season, I know we don't do much, but there was a couple that had winter seasons. I got December 1st to March 31st, and they have to November 1st as a deadline to request permits for them.
December 1 to 1.
March 31st.
They wouldn't be able to do it. 'cause
Yeah,
the
they can't do it
website-
till-
Right, well, I was just on that, that's one of my head, and that's probably, and I knew I said, you know, you're going into a different calendar year.
There's not a lot of.
And
What's that?
also
There's not a
Yeah,
lot of.
yeah. So-
November 1st of the year, November 30th.
So when I just got the three seasons, but most of them had 3
I'll leave the
seasons.
4th one open because we do have the track people that come in and want to run something. Granted, there's only a couple of them. The Lowell Road Runners have done things in the past. I don't want to preclude them from
Yeah,
taking the chance.
It would
Like
have
we-
to start January
Yeah.
1st though.
Because
Okay.
we don't
Yeah.
have the website
So-
open for the
so-
next year until then.
So with that being said,
Okay,
Mr.
all
Chairman,
right.
Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I'll open the fall season from September 1st to maybe December 30th.
Is that agreeable with you, Peter?
If someone
That
wanted
works
to
for
use
you?
it, but you're saying someone might want to use it for track,
Yeah,
that
there's
would
a
allow
group
that
that,
open in, but nobody's getting anything.
when did the Road Runners run that?
They haven't got a permit for us.
Couple of years?
Some of that's gonna be weather based, so like,
Right.
you know,
But they also, the city ordinance closes the parks November 1st and doesn't reopen until April 1st.
And we don't meet November and December.
yeah.
Right, right.
But if March is great weather, we're gonna wanna do tryouts outside and.
Yeah, you always do. It's not just
I don't know what
you,
you're talking
voting,
about.
soccer, I mean, all the
Yeah,
outdoor
no.
sports, when the weather's good in March, they're all big playing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they ruin the field and they complain,
But we-
Shannon, that it's a mess.
But the permits, so like
definitely-
even April 1st, technically, the legal says no permit, any permits before April 15th, you can contact the Parks Department to find out about using it prior to that date.
Right.
And
it's usually whenever,
Nobody
whenever
does.
MIA releases, it's usually like March 20, something like that.
MIA gets their permits March 15th.
I said-
Only for tennis.
Okay.
and,
Like I said,
track.
again, this is just a proposal, just for discussion. This isn't like keep doing rules.
No, I'd like to see that.
I think we all spoke about having some type of deadlines on when someone can get a permit, an extension of their permit over a certain period of time without going the open limit, April to October. We're
Maybe
trying
I'd like to
wait-
see if you find that enough at our next board meeting. we can put that in place.
Okay,
Okay,
well, I'll work with Heather and Peter.
right, find out what works with you, Heather.
Yeah.
We don't want to tie your hands on anything.
No?
So it's not a formal motion, it's just something that
No.
I'm thinking out for discussion and we can fine tune it.
Totally agree, you and I have kicked it
And
around.
clear intent, and it's just, it's too good scheduling, so we're opening the fields a little bit more. So for people, other people to use the fields, if you're not using it, that's the intent of it, it's not to hurt anybody or put restrictions on anybody. It's just to try to get people to come back with a true scheduling. Because by then, by the end of June 30th, you know what you need beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, on my makeups, I don't need it, I put in for all these dates, but I don't need it. Well, but the dates you put in for the last 2 months, we can't give them up to anybody else because, you know, you put in for them. And if we don't allow that to happen, then we can.
No,
That'll help the
totally
process.
agree, it's a great thing.
So that's all I have for tonight.
Do we have any softball fields next to a youth? Field, youth, girls softball, all boys, baseball? We have any fields like that in Lowell?
What do you,
I don't know.
field is-
Ryan, you're
Fine.
probably the best able. to
What's
answer
that?
Do we have any softball fields? And a baseball field next to each other.
Jim Gallagher upper.
Those are youth, I'm talking adult.
Oh, adult
Adult fields and a youth field, that's what I'm talking
colleague, really. The
about.
alumni
So
market.
there's no problem there.
Yeah, they're not even really right next to each other. But there's a complex.
The reason why I'm bringing this up, Barica has built, this guy should go out and see the complex they built out there in
It's up on
Barica.
like Concord Road there.
Yeah, right up across the road, they spent $4.5 million.
It's really nice.
It's beautiful. And the adults are gonna ruin
This in
it.
the, this in the prison
Really
round?
interesting.
No, the adults are gonna
I
ruin
know
it
they've done a lot of stuff.
because, they're drinking. Drinking in their mouths. One night, one guy, three players got suspended, one guy got suspended for 8 games and.
I assume you were up in that game.
No, I wasn't up there game. I was out there 2 nights after. Then 2.5 weeks later, I all walk out in the parking lot. And the crews are in the city, in the town of Brick had to go there, break it up. One kid got hurt seriously. I just wanted to
What else you
stop.
got, Mr. Rudy?
I think that's all I have tonight.
Sorry to cut you off, Tom, I gotta get out of this.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have tonight. I'm sorry, I want to work on a little bit more, but,
No, you've done a great job.
I think
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna say, you
just
didn't
trying to
talk,
start the
you didn't talk, you
discussion.
didn't talk.
Right, okay.
You said it was funny.
Member Cog, you have anything you'd like to bring up?
Well, this is very illuminating. So, yeah, I mean, I'll think of some more, for our next meeting, which is going to be at the end, right?
October 30th.
Okay,
And if any of you have language you want brought to the board, if you email us, or, Heather, she can put it on the agenda, so that way you guys can see it, you can post the agenda, you don't see the language, and then come in ready to vote or not vote on it.
Before we end, I want to thank everybody for being respectful during the discussion and keeping it on the issue at hand. I know we could have got out of hand real quick on a couple of things, and, we didn't have to go there, thank God.
We're all on the same mission. I think everybody at the table on the same mission.
Mr. Chairman, with that being said,
oh, I said,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Heather, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Okay, Saturday, everybody do anything, 11 o'clock. Portuguese Club, I'm doing a monument dedication for Lowell's only Olympic boxer.
I'm ready on Saturday, I'll be.
Portuguese club inside the
Portuguese Club, yes,
room.
yeah.
What did they give you the other day?
I don't know
You got me
what
off
you-
because your food was coming.